Alright, this is Spider-Girl 18. Finally. It has been a long wait. Part of the reason is I didn't want to go into this and just make another video reiterating my theory from the first part. That this character is consciously being written with at least the potential of being a lesbian. I didn't want to spend another video on just that, even if the issue itself is chock-a-block full with more evidence of dubious proportions. However, having read this 3 times for this video, there's just not enough there otherwise. There is some bloodless gore at the end, but other than that, there's not really enough to talk about. This is by Marky Mark G. And the only reason I say the G on the end is because I actually ate Mark Wahlberg. And I don't for a minute want to be caught saying something that, out of context, might sound like I am being nice about Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark G is our writer, and Carmine Falcone is on pencils. And our lesbian star has been backed into this corner of having an intimate moment with a man, and now he's melting. Part 1 is rather integral to really follow a lot of this. It's not essential, but it lacks some coherence without it. My review of Part 1 is probably also integral to really follow a lot of this review. The melting guy, he runs away rather than let Jennifer Drew see his melting face, rather than let her see his real self. And it is, or it can be seen as, a direct metaphor for Jennifer Drew's sexuality in many, many ways. I'm actually not going to patronise you by explaining it. He is hiding his, and is afraid of people learning of his, true self. It's obvious what it correlates to. Some nice silhouette work over here by Carmine Falcone, with her dress evoking her web wings when she's Spider-Girl. The guy, Waxman, that is his name, he is falling apart. He's basically just Clayman from the Batman stories. He is shaping himself. He is moulding himself into these generic, handsome man shapes, and then romancing women. And he has finally worn Jennifer Drew down here. He has convinced her to agree to what she keeps telling herself is only a friendly kiss. But it's then when he melts all over her face. This is like one of the few moments where she is shown to actually engage in some form of sexual contact with a man, and it blows up in her face. Literally, she gets a fleshy bukkake. This legitimately traumatises her for the rest of the issue. Jennifer Drew is, regardless of my reading, she has consistently been written as Oz, and a bit mentally undeveloped due to her origin, or its shifting a few times early on. That is how we write it all off. Eventually, after this, she just becomes a regular character. She is very heterosexual and straight. But these original, unusual personality quirks, and the almost alien characterization, it works far more cohesively if you ascribe much of that to her uncertainty about her sexuality, and why she isn't attracted to men the way she thinks she should be. All her false starts at romance and her mood-killing retreats whenever a guy tries to get close. Her desperation to befriend women or someone she thinks might be the same as her. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I kind of did. I just repeated much of what I said in part 1. Really, the idea of her being a lesbian remedies some of her confusing characterization early on. But I said I wasn't going to spend another video just hammering home that she is a big fat lesbo. I'm not going to insist on it much anymore, but the thing that needs mentioning is, without it, this two-parter is kind of rubbish. There's just not enough story there. There's no real character arc for Jennifer Drew. Everything done with Jennifer is like she's in a stalemate position. You add in those ideas of her sexuality, and it becomes a much denser story with meanings and purpose. Spider-Girl tries to follow Waxman, but he has changed his appearance and he goes to a club and pulls another woman. But Spider-Girl is convinced that she has got the wrong guy because he looks so different to the one that she was with. So she leaves. I might have mentioned in part 1, I cannot remember, but I mistook Waxman for a member of Night Shift. He absolutely fits in with Night Shift. I think it's a pretty understandable mistake to make. He would be a very easy character to reason is on Night Shift, but he's not. He never appears again after these 2 issues of Spider-Girl. The next bit is she is having nightmares about him. She cannot even go to sleep without wearing her Spider-Girl costume. All because of the time she let a man get close to her that way. And then we learn that she is sort of to blame for that girl dying. She did follow the right person, and that lady he pulled wound up smothered by his melty skin. So now Jennifer Drew goes back out in hopes of attracting his attention again, and by chance he doesn't remember her or what she looks like, and he takes her home for some sexing. But Jennifer confronts him as Spider-Girl, and now we get his origin told to us. It is science, basically. He accidentally did some bad science. Best bit of the issue is he hides in a bed to try and escape her, covers himself with the sheet. Great plan, but it brings us to our final bit, and I won't explain how it can be inferred as more lesbian shit. He transforms into Jennifer Drew, and the actual ending is abrupt and unsatisfying. He is believed dead when he explodes into a mass of flesh. Something that is actually, Carmine Falcone's art handles it very cartoonishly, and I think that is the only reason it got to print, because this is what is depicted rather than how it is depicted. Outrageously gory for a 1979 Marvel comic. Legitimate question. No idea what I'm cutting away to for it here. Something I've thought of after the fact, probably. But the question is, what was the goriest thing Marvel had published by this point? I cannot think of much of anything. In their mainline comics, not the black and white magazines. What was the most violent or bloody thing they had shown by 1979? And I don't mean necessarily shown well, but is there anything more extreme than this? An eruption of flesh covering a room and the title star. It is treated like slime and protoplasm here. It's like mud. It's like Clayman from Batman, really. And I think that's the only way it could be printed. There is no blood or organs. We only see a skeleton in one panel. And then our stinger is the hint that it's not over, and Waxman could possibly reassemble himself from this. I honestly don't think this two-parter is much without my reading. It becomes a bit more interesting and deliberate when you take that into account. It has a point then. Otherwise, it's a story where the hero actually doesn't do anything. She confronts a villain and he explodes. She is traumatized by a man's face leaking onto hers. It's not a story if it doesn't contain that extra element of Jennifer Drew being a lesbian and not typically interested in men. And this Waxman represents her in some way. That's why I give it a scissoring 7 thumbs up.